That was from about a 5-mile-an-hour roll, by the way. So if you want to hurt your friends with a Corvette, a new Corvette, if you want to hurt their feelings, this will do it. Here we got another car that's kind of interesting. This car actually came to us a long time ago, 16, 17 years. It started with a complete restoration, and Dennis brought it to us, and it was an everyday driver from New Hampshire, and it had been salted, and the bottom was rusted. The car was hurt bad, really bad. And the last thing I wanted to do was to try to make all the panels and shit I needed for this. But Dennis became a good friend, hung around for a long time. Finally, we agreed to do it. We took it apart. We rebuilt the car. So part of the story and the reason that's important to Dennis is Dennis's dad bought this brand new. In fact, Dennis was with his dad at the dealership when they bought it brand new, took his driving test in it. So when his dad passed away, Dennis inherited the car. So he came to us and he wanted it brand new. And I said, you know how much this is gonna cost? And he said he didn't really give a shit, that it was his dad's car and he wanted it new. So we rebuilt it and we restored it exactly the way it was supposed to be. It was a 326, 2-barrel, 2-speed, nothing special other than it is a hardtop 4-door, which is weird. So what that means is it doesn't have a post in the middle. When you let the two windows down, it's all open, and it's actually a really neat car. Not many, 5,000 I think was the manufacturer number. It was not a popular car. The car is beautiful. It's got best of show numerous times, but Dennis over the years got bored with it. So it went through kind of a metamorphosis. First thing we did was the chassis on it. And basically what we're gonna call this whole segment is the sleeper, because this one's a sleeper, and we'll take a quick peek at another one too, just to give an idea of another episode coming up. But this is truly a sleeper, because first thing we did was the chassis. As I said, it's got springs, shocks, anti-roll bars, it's got an aftermarket steering box in it, it's got disc brakes in the front, power unit to support the brakes. Handles really well, drives really well, it's pretty quick. It's got a 355 gear in it, it's got a pause unit. The next thing we did was we fuel injected the 326. It was cool. The 326 ran really good, fuel injected, ran on pumped gas, everything was fine. Then 3 or 4 years ago, Dennis came to me and he says, you know, he says, I see all these resto mods you're doing, and he says, I think I'd like to put an LS in the Tempest. And I'm like, no way. I can't believe he's serious. But he was dead serious. So now that's what it is too. It's a 430 horsepower LS3. It's got a 4-speed 4L60 in it. And it's a really neat car. It hauls ass, it'll burn the tires anywhere you want to go, and it doesn't look like anything other than something your grandfather drove around. So we're going to take a look underneath the car, and keep in mind this is 13 or 14 years since we did the restoration on the car, and it's been driven about 3,000 or 4,000 miles, so maybe a little more than that. So it's showing its age a little bit. But that in mind, here's the roll bar I was talking about. And you can see the steering box. This is an old Flaming River box. I'm not a big fan of Flaming River anymore, but it works nice in this car. Again, standard disc brakes. You can start looking at the detail underneath the car. I mean, it's all blacked out. It's all been completely redone. Every bit of it was rebuilt. You can see the new transmission. You see the new LS, the bottom of the LS engine, 2.5-inch exhaust system. We like the X-pipe. It's got a high flow muffler. You can see the 3-inch aluminum drive shaft, not typical on your 4-door Tempest. It still has the 8.2 10-volt in it. You can see additional anti-roll bar, box control arms. All of these little things are what we're adding to what making this thing really a fun car to drive. The handles stop reasonably well, and just a lot of fun to drive. So the back of the car, if you take a look at stuff like the bumper, for example, if you know anything about Pontiacs, it's missing the backup lights. Well, that was unusual, and it was a little difficult to get this bumper because the backup lights were missing. Dennis didn't want the backup lights inside. And you see the little dealer emblem. This dealer emblem was nothing but a little ball of corrosion. That dealer emblem was about $1,000 right there to get that fixed, as much sense as that. But that's the level of detail that we went to with the car. You can see where we replaced the quarter panels in the back, all of the spot welds we put back in it. It's really tough to tell that anything's ever happened to this car because of the way we put it back together. And actually, it's not me, I did it. I did it all myself. I'm going to pat myself in the back because it's good, and I like it. Under the hood, like we talked about, is the LS engine. It's air conditioned as well. It wasn't originally. It's got a vintage air system. This body style had an inherent problem for cooling because the radiator wasn't big enough. CNR and Clarence worked together and they came up with this radiator, which did require some core support modification to get it in, but there's no more cooling issue. It has dual brushless fans in it. It's a custom-made radiator specifically for the LS and this horsepower in this engine, but it was imperative that all of the heat problems that it lived with its whole life went away, and we were able to accomplish that. You can see the covers that we put over the coils just to kind of neaten it up a little bit. The Willwood master cylinder. We used the factory hood insulation, left the battery where it's supposed to be. All the ECUs and everything are mounted up under the side. It's just a really clean, nice installation. It's been very reliable for the several thousand miles it's been driven. You can see the level of detail with the paintwork and everything. The car was completely disassembled, nut and bolt, every piece of it's been apart. So we're going for a ride, and we're doing something a little different. Ben's riding with me this time. It would have been more fun to take Ben for a ride in something a little faster, but this will be interesting. So here we are in the Tempest, and normally when I get into this Tempest, it has a little yellow sticky note right here that says no spinning of the tires, because he caught me spinning the tires one time. And let me clarify, Dennis has become a very good friend over the years, and it's said somewhat jokingly, but not really. He really doesn't want me spinning the tires. But I told him I wouldn't make this video unless I could spin the tires. So the agreement has been made, and I can spin the tires and will. So now we're going to go for a quick little ride. We're just going to ride around the block. We got the air conditioning on. It's nice and cool inside. It's nice and quiet inside. We'll just go for a ride, see how it is. The plastic steering wheel, this steering wheel is all cracked and broken like most of them are. There's one lunatic in California that has the mold for these steering wheels, charges you $1,000, and he delivers it whenever he wants, but it's perfect. So that was part of the issue with restoring this car. All of the other stuff has all been restored, but it's the original parts, gauges, so on. Not the vintage air, obviously. The ride's probably a little more harsh than it would have been originally because it's got Bilstein shocks on it and it's got pretty heavy duty springs and the anti-roll bars and such. And there we go. There's the first and second gear. That was from about a 5-mile-an-hour roll, by the way. So if you want to hurt your friends with a Corvette, a new Corvette, you want to hurt their feelings, this will do it. Now we're going to go through a little turn. Hopefully Ben isn't sitting in my lap after this. I got to take it easy. Got to watch the Chrysler minivan. But this car is ultimately the sleeper of all. The Chevy that I showed you, it's kind of a giveaway because it's rumping and thumping and making all kinds of noise. This doesn't. It just sounds like a stock Camaro or something. See, the cool thing about this is it's only 430 horsepower, but it's got a good gear, it's got a good converter, good transmission. But this car only weighs about 3,400 pounds, 3,500 pounds, which that's several hundred pounds lighter than a Camaro or something that this engine would have come from the factory in. This engine didn't come out of a car. This is a crate engine. We only use new crate engines. We don't buy anything from wrecks. The air conditioning works surprisingly well. The seat is surprisingly uncomfortable. It's just shocking that the shit that people drove around in back then. I mean, and they didn't know any better. Imagine driving across the whole country sitting on a bus seat, because that's what it feels like. You actually have to drive it because it wants to go different directions. That again was from about a 10 or 15 mile an hour roll. But back to the ergonomics. I mean, the cars have come so far today, it's just shocking. We love them. I mean, we love the old cars. They're definitely cool as shit to drive around in. But as far as comfort and drivability and sitting in them for, 24 hours or something like that, it's just amazing that people drove these things all around the country and used them every day for transportation. Again, we're going to buzz through the park. We're going to drive around corners and stuff. It stays nice and flat, surprisingly. I mean, it's not a Corvette, but it's not bad. It doesn't have a lot of body roll. It has almost none, as a matter of fact. The steering ratio, I think this is a 12-to-1 steering box, which is really quick. It came with a 16-to-1. One more time, just for you, Dennis. I had to blow the cobwebs out of it. Dennis has only done that once. I thought you'd dig it. It's a surprise, isn't it?
Heck yeah.
I mean, when you step on this fucker,
Yeah,
it just shits and gets.
I was not expecting that.
So the story is with the sticker is I came around this corner and I had David with me. David Swallows, the one with the Fairlane. And I had him as buddy, and I stood on it right here. And first and second gear, the tires were smoking. Well, I didn't realize, but Dennis was standing on the corner of the building when I went by. And I drove in, and Dennis is looking at me, and I'm looking at him, and he's shaking his head. But he understands. I just drove by our entrance thinking about talking about that. Oh, there's a Ferrari. We should go race him. That's Harley. I know him really well. We could probably go race him for money. As long as we didn't have to turn.
Performance and restoration is what we do.